In this video, I want to have a look at the new dashboard that's been added to the Indicate tool. I also want to have a look at how to add a new card to the dashboard. So cards are basically these graphs here and the options that are available. So if I want to open up the dashboard, I'll go to Window, Show Dashboard 2, and that will bring up the dashboard. At the moment, I just have a dashboard set up for a particular scenario, but just to go through the features that are available, the dashboard has a new text element which allows me to create sections. So in this case, I've created a section called Common City Index and Domain Indices, and I've grouped a bunch of things that I'm interested in here. I've also created another section called Indicators, and I've grouped a bunch of indicators in here. And at the moment you might see it looks a bit odd, but I'll tell you why that is in a minute. And then I've got another section within my dashboard called Energy Analysis. So this is my energy consumption with the existing state of affairs, and then I'm interested in energy consumption if I apply some interventions, which I would do in the inspector, which I was talking about in the previous video. And then I have energy change, and then I also have simulation results. So at the moment this doesn't look terribly impressive. The only thing that's populated is the Common City Index, and these Common City Index categories are domains. So I'm going to cover them in a separate video, but if I want to have a look at the rest of this, if I select a building like the Marshes, you'll see that the energy consumption of public buildings stays, it's not very informative because this is not a public building, but it tells me that so these are the indicators. It tells me that the Marshes has already had retrofitted elements for insulation and glazing, not for heating or not for energy generation. It tells me that it's class B or D or better. So it's saying 100% of the buildings that I've selected are class D or better. Tells me that there's smart metering in the building. It tells me the roof space available if I were to put on PV is quite a lot. It tells me it's not a heritage, it's not a listed building. So that obviously has implications for the interventions that I can choose in the inspector tab. And then the roof space available for solar hot water is the same as the roof space available for solar PV. So these are indicators, and they give you kind of an overview of the building. And I've only selected 10 of these indicators. There's actually 30 of these indicators that I have available to me within the tool. So depending on your application, you would set up the dashboard with different indicators. In this particular one, for the scenario, these were the ones that the person was interested in. So then just continuing on down the dashboard, in my energy analysis, I can see my energy consumption is 201 kilowatt hours per square meter per year, and my total energy usage is 25 gigawatts. And then with the interventions, so if we go back and look at the dashboard in interventions that we were looking at earlier, if I make a change to the interventions, the only change here is changing the boiler from its existing state to a condensing boiler, 95% efficient condensing boiler. You'll see that has an effect on the energy usage. That would decrease the energy usage. You can see how much energy usage would be post-intervention, and you can also see the change both in kilowatt hour per year per meter squared and total kilowatt hours. And all of this is configurable. So if I want to add a new card, I can just say I want to add a new card. And if I want to add a text card, for example, I'll just say OK. And here, now I can enter my text. So this is going to be John's demo video section. So this is just my header, which is going to allow me to group all the things that I put in next. Now I want to add, say, a stack chart. So I'm going to say OK. So these are the options that I have. And these are all the reports that I have. So if I was interested in carbon emissions by class, if I was interested in electricity by class. So let's maybe try that one. Divided by is if I want something, say, per meter squared, I would take the electricity usage divided by the gross floor area for the building, and that would give me energy usage per meter squared, so like some of the ones that I have in here already. If I want to multiply by, this is useful if you want to take something and convert it into a percentage. So if you wanted to say what percentage of buildings are occupied, you'd use the total number of buildings divided by, you take the occupied buildings divided by the total number of buildings multiplied by 100, and that would give you a percentage. And then there's this reporter, which is whether I wanted the report to be on all objects or just on the selected objects. So if I'm only interested in the marshes, I'd say selection only, because I only want this to report what I select. If I was interested in the whole town of Dundalk, I would say all objects. And then within this, there's chart parameters. So we can say whether we want the sum of all electricity by class, the mean or the count. So it's generally going to be sum that you'll use. You don't want the mean usage by class. If I want to put in an axis label, I can put it in here, so like kilowatt hour per meter squared, whatever I want. Then I can also, if I wanted to format the axes to say what's the minimum value going to be, what's the maximum value going to be. In this case, I haven't chosen a particularly good example. There's only going to be one. And then I can scale it to be either uniform or logarithmic. And I can decide if I want my notation to be decimal or scientific. So I can also make some changes to the chart. I can sort the order that things come up, alphabetical, ascending or descending in terms of values, and I can change the color. So if I just say OK here, I should just get one value, because this is saying that the Marshes is a C-rated building, and its total energy usage is this value here. And again, you'll see if you hover over it that you will you'll get the actual value. It's also stated here. So if I wanted that, and I wanted that for the whole town of Dundalk, I could go back into configure. Sorry, there's one other thing I want to show here. If I wanted to give this a title, I can say edit title, and here I could say electricity for Dundalk by BER. So this will give me how much energy each energy class is using. So if I go back in here, in order for this to be on the whole of Dundalk, I need to change the reporter from selection only, which is only going to be what's selected, to all objects. And if I do that, you see that this graph should change. I'm also going to change the color here, because I've just used a single color, so I'm going to go back into configure, and instead of saying I want a single color, I'm going to say theme, and theme is going to give me something that makes it a little bit easier to read. So here you can see, and again, all these things I can expand to make them bigger, to set this up the way I want. I can move charts around to put them into, to collect them together. I can say, well, this was supposed to be in John's video demo section, so it should be here. I can move that CCI back to where it was. But I can arrange things so that I can build charts that are actually meaningful to me. And here, this is telling me for Dundalk, by BER rating, this is the energy usage of each of the different A to G rated buildings. If you hover over any one, it will give you the value, as well as it being on the side of the of the chart here. So that's if I'm finished, if I decide, I actually don't want that chart, I can delete the chart. And it asks me, do I really want to do that? So I'll say yeah, and then I can delete the section in the same way. So the important things there are does the chart get its information from all objects, or is it selection only? So that's why all of these are selection only. All of this is selection only, just because it's useful for the purpose that I was interested in. I was interested in a single building. So if I was interested in a town level, I would change all these to all objects, and then I could get the same information for the whole town of Dundalk. So that's the dashboard and the new charts. Next, I'm going to talk about if I want to set up and copy elements to a new scene.